From Indy streaming news leader, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Check this out. Did you see it? Did you hear it? The thunder and lightning putting on quite the show early this Monday morning. We captured these images from our INDOT traffic camera network. And right now at 6 on this Monday morning, Todd's tracking if more storms will be part of this first start of your work week. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. I'm Rafael Sanchez.
And I'm Lauren Casey. Let's get right to Todd. Saw a little bit of lightning far off in the distance to the south and west.
Yeah, you know, just a couple isolated storms overnight that have mainly been lightning producers. We haven't had much in the way of severe weather, and right now there's no severe weather out there right now. It's just these downpours with some lightning, but where it is raining, it is coming down very, very heavy. Let me take you down towards the Spencer area. A big cluster of lightning here with this cell. I'll pull the lightning off and we can zoom in a little bit closer as we track it off towards the east. This is going to be heading towards Bloomington in the next 15 minutes or so. Again, nothing severe here, but you can see this really, really heavy rainfall. Here's downtown Spencer, Indiana 46 and Indiana 43 and 231, where they all kind of meet there in and around the Spencer area. Some really, really heavy rainfall coming down. And then we'll take you off to the east here, Hagerstown, Cambridge City. This is really weakened. It was a pretty intense little cell as it made its way through the Newcastle area. But otherwise, we're in decent quiet shape across the area this morning. But it's still pretty unsettled. You notice just kind of clusters of storms all across the Midwest. And as we work our way throughout the afternoon hours, there will be the additional chance of some isolated thunderstorms. Temperatures are in the 60s and 70s as we wait for the skies to start to brighten. Overall, it's a very typical summer day for us with lots of sunshine. I'll just have to be on the lookout again for some isolated thunderstorms to develop later on this afternoon. Temperatures today into the mid-80s. We do, though, have some 90s in our future. More on that coming up in just a couple minutes, Lauren.
All right, Todd, let's take you here just south of the downtown area. Give you a look at I-65, a camera here south of Southern Avenue. Traffic is still moving along up to speed in this area. We'll be keeping a close eye on it. You'll still need to use the detour route. Westbound I-465 remains closed on this Monday along the south side. It's scheduled to reopen by about midweek, but of course we'll keep you updated once we get the official word from INDOT. For now, though, the detour route is traveling up to speed. So let's take you out to our live drive vehicle, give you a better idea of what to expect as you're moving on the northwest side of town. We're traveling northbound on I-65 right now near 38th Street. No crashes or delays to slow you down.
Public safety is the top story on this Monday morning. A man now in critical condition this morning after a shooting. This happening on the city's northeast side.
Yeah, this all comes after a deadly weekend in Indianapolis where multiple people were killed in shootings across the metro area. WRTV's Nico Panisi is live with the latest details. Nico, good morning.
Yes, good morning. A violent weekend here in Indianapolis. 6 people shot and 2 people dead. The shooting last night happened at an apartment complex near 38th Street and Post at around 10:45. After hearing multiple gunshots in the area, first responders found a man had been shot at the scene and took him to a hospital in critical condition. Metro Police detained 3 people and firearms around the corner near Pinehurst Drive. Investigators say they're unsure what role the weapons played in the shooting at this time. This area is no stranger to crime. Our homicide map shows the location is where a teenager was shot and killed at a bus stop earlier this year, and a second homicide happened just a few blocks away. And investigators are working to collect evidence and speak with potential witnesses this morning. We'll keep you updated with the latest. Rafael and Lauren.
Nico Panisi reporting live this morning. Thank you so much for that. At 6:03, Metro Police trying to determine if a shooting and a homicide on the same street are connected in any way. Officers received a call around 10:30 Sunday morning to check things out on Hillcott Lane. They found a body floating in the water. Homicide detectives believe this incident may be connected to a shots fired call on Saturday. In that case, police were called to a disturbance between a homeowner and another man. Shots were fired inside the home before the man took off. Detectives later found evidence that determined that the other man had been shot. You can keep track of crime in your neighborhood. We made it very easy for you because our team continuously updates the homicide map on our website at WRTV.com. Click on the tab Crime under Local News, and there you can find all the information you need to find out about crime in your neighborhood.
So this morning, Broad Ripple businesses say it has been quieter and safer after Indy officials in the Village Association made some safety upgrades about 3 weeks ago. Right now, businesses have to close by 1 a.m. and barricades block a former troubled parking lot. Metro Police say lights and cameras have also been added throughout the village. And while some visitors are happy with the changes, the Broad Ripple Village Association says some businesses are losing money.
We've seen a lot of progress. I was out there last weekend and it was very quiet. A lot of police presence, a lot of people who are engaging with officers, engaging with each other in a very safe manner. We haven't had any significant issues there for the past several weeks.
I hope that some clever people are coming up with solutions for the problem, because there's a lot of people that are really unhappy with the situation and want to come out in Broad Ripple and enjoy.
Well, the Broad Ripple Village Association also considered making the area a gun-free zone. The idea is still on hold as it works to find insurance to protect itself from a liability. Village officials are also having trouble working out the logistics and manpower. In the meantime, IMPD is asking businesses to keep their exterior lights on to help keep that area well lit.
Authorities say an Indiana woman is among the victims who died in a helicopter crash. This happened in Alaska, we're told, last week. Investigators tell us that 26-year-old Tori Moore of South Bend was one of 3 scientists on board. The pilots and the 3 scientists on board all died in that crash. That wreckage located inside a lake. Authorities plan on attempting to retrieve the wreckage sometime this week.
Well, drivers on the Purdue University campus in West Lafayette will need to slow their rolls starting next month. University officials there say that they're lowering the speed limits on a number of streets. We have a list of those specific streets seeing changes for you. It's up at WRTV.com. Officials with Purdue and West Lafayette say the lower speed limits will lead to safer space for pedestrians. The new rules are set to be in effect by August.
This morning, there's a new Hoosier in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Scott Rowland was inducted on Sunday in Cooperstown, New York. The Jasper native entered Major League Baseball in 1996. He played 17 seasons, eventually winning a World Series in 2006 with the Cardinals. Rowland earned the 8 Gold Glove awards at third base. He talks about what being a member of the Hall of Fame means to him. Let's listen in.
I believe in putting in the quantity to know what quality is. I believe in the process. I believe in the approach. I believe in the work, and am forever grateful for this advice. Well, Dad, I did that, dude.
That's awesome. His dad there in the audience. And this morning, an Anderson native was also honored during Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame weekend. Carl Erskine will receive the Buck O'Neil Lifetime Achievement Award. He pitched for the Brooklyn and Los Angeles Dodgers. Erskine was named an All-Star in 1954 and was part of the Dodgers' 1955 World Series win over the Yankees. Will not hold that against him since I am a big Yankees fan, but Carl, you are the man. He's been active since he retired from baseball and spends a lot of time helping Special Olympics. We are so proud that Carl Erskine is a Hoosier, making our state very proud.
Well, this morning, the Department of Justice is preparing a lawsuit over large floating buoys at the Texas border. Coming up, why the DOJ says the barriers violate federal laws.
Plus, thousands of pallets of drugs damaged in a tornado late last week. Ahead on this Monday, the impact the damage is expected to have on medication supplies. But first, it's an active radar morning for Todd Clausen. Good morning, TK.
Yeah, we have 2 isolated storms that are out there here this morning, Raphael. None of them are severe. That is the good news, but some really heavy rainfall with this storm near Bloomington right now. Another one just south of Bloomfield, but this one's the strongest, and it's heading again towards the Bloomington area with some heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning. We'll track this and talk about additional storms for the afternoon. It's all in your WRTV Storm Team forecast.
Good morning to Tipton, Thorntown, and Trafalgar. The time 6:11. These are the top stories developing right now. The United States now on pace for one of the deadliest years in over a decade. 7 mass shootings over the weekend pushed the country past a grim milestone. According to the National Gun Violence Archive, there have been 400 mass shootings so far this year. That's up 9% from the same time in 2022. A brutal heat wave continues to impact millions of people. This this coast to coast. Dangerously hot temperatures in the southwestern U.S. are now moving into the central and eastern parts of our country. The Weather Service expects the heat wave to last until at least Wednesday. Federal forecasters have issued more than 2,000 heat warnings and advisories since last month. And wildfires are forcing thousands of people to flee the country of Greece. You see these images here. Burning from those fires began last Wednesday. The flames are tearing through forests and making their way to coastal resorts. About 19,000 tourists and residents evacuated homes and hotels. Many are sheltering in schools and sleeping on beaches and streets.
At 6:12, the Department of Justice is readying a lawsuit against Texas for its large floating buoys at the southern border. As ABC's M. Nguyen reports, the feds claim the devices violate federal law and raise some humanitarian concerns.
This morning, the Department of Justice with plans to sue the state of Texas for deploying floating barricades at the southern border. The DOJ in a letter to Governor Greg Abbott writing, the state of Texas's actions violate federal law, raise humanitarian concerns, and may interfere with the federal government's official duties. The department demanding Texas remove the barriers or face legal action.
They do have a valid lawsuit under the statute. The governor's just acting on his own.
In a series of tweets, Abbott defended his border enforcement efforts, blaming President Biden and saying Texas is stepping up to address this crisis, adding, "We will see you in court, Mr. President." But some Texas Republicans are raising concern for the state's latest deterrent tactics.
It's not acceptable.
Representative Tony Gonzalez acknowledging the dangers at the U.S.-Mexico border, though ultimately siding with the governor's actions.
I think you're seeing the governor do everything he possibly can to secure the border.
This says the Inspector General in the Texas Department of Public Safety investigates allegations of inhumane treatment of migrants, following a letter that became public last week, which recounted a patrol where state troopers were allegedly given orders to push children back into the river and refuse water to migrants amid scorching temperatures. Officials in the department claiming the whistleblower misinterpreted the order.
If a member from one of our leadership or a supervisor tells a trooper to push back migrants, what that means is to verbally tell them, go to a port of entry.
The Texas State Trooper, ABC News learns, has been on the job for more than 5 years. Abbott's office previously saying Texas is deploying every tool to deter illegal crossings. M. Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
So dozens of domestic and international airlines are facing millions of dollars in fines from U.S. immigration authorities. From January 2019 all the way through December of 2022, U.S. Customs and Border Protection fined airlines almost $6.7 million. And here's why. The penalties were for flying passengers into the country with damaged or expired foreign passports and invalid visas. The top 3 commercial carriers with the highest fines include American Airlines, Delta, and Spirit Airlines. A Delta spokesperson says that between 2019 and 2022, the airline served 572 million customers worldwide and, quote, a handful of cases resulted in fines. American Airlines and Spirit Airlines did not comment on this story.
Well, this morning, White House officials say they want to better prepare for possible future pandemics. The Biden administration launched the new Office of Pandemic Preparedness and Response Policy. It'll lead and coordinate action to prepare and respond to viruses that could threaten the nation's health. The new office comes 3 months after President Biden ended the COVID national emergency.
The time now 6:15. Federal health officials don't expect a major drug shortage after a tornado severely damaged a Pfizer plant, as you can see from these images. That twister tore through North Carolina last week. The FDA says the plant's drug storage facility was damaged, but not its medicine production area. The agency says it will continue working with the drug maker to assess the destruction. The facility, by the way, produces nearly 25% of injectable medicines used in American hospitals. Time now is 6:16 on your Monday morning. We begin a new work week, and Todd, Mrs. Sanchez already up. It is the first day for teachers to report to school at Clark Pleasant and other school systems across the area. Wednesday, the school buses roll. Are we ready for that?
Well, so they waited. They waited to start school when we're going to get the hottest temperatures of the entire year.
The good news, They have air conditioning.
All right, well, that's good. That's good. That's a good place to be then, air conditioned, because we're getting into the 90s here by the middle to end of the week. Our first real decent heat wave is heading our way for the entire year. Pretty cool shot here in Bloomington. This is from the campus of IU looking off towards the west, and you can see as you look towards the west and eventually towards Spencer there, you can see some of the thunderstorms that are building. We're at 68 degrees, just a light wind out of the southwest at 5 miles per hour. Temperature's not an issue for us here this morning. 70 in Bloomington, 63 Frankfort, as well as Anderson. But as we go over to radar, there's not a whole lot out there, and this is going to be the case throughout the entire day today. Yes, we have thunderstorms in the forecast, but most of us probably remain dry. But if you do see the thunderstorms, it's like we're dealing with right now. Isolated with some heavy rainfall and some lightning will be the main culprits with these storms as they come through. This one's lost its lightning, but just going to be moving just north of the Richmond area. The stronger storm continues to be this one that's now pushing into Ellettsville up towards McCormick's Creek State Park. The rain has cleared the Spencer area, and this is going to pass just north of Bloomington and eventually head towards Lake Lemon there as you work your way into eastern portions of Monroe County. And then a little more active here just south of our area from Mitchell Tree to Shoals down towards Lost River. This may clip the Mitchell area there in southern Lawrence County, but eventually it's going to head down towards Paoli. And all these storms again are weakening, not expecting any severe weather throughout the day today, or this morning rather. But as we get into the afternoon hours, maybe an isolated strong to severe storm will be possible. You just see these clusters of storms. It's pretty unsettled here across the area, and that's why not only today but in the coming days, I think we'll be able to at least fire up a few isolated storms each and every day. Today there's a marginal risk for severe weather through a good chunk of the area. It includes Muncie, Indianapolis, Terre Haute, and places to the south. That's the lowest on our threat level spectrum, and that just means the chance of an isolated strong to severe storm with wind being the main threat. But we get through most of the afternoon and evening dry, but then watch how during the evening hours we kind of just fire up a few isolated storms. Say the main threat's probably between about 4 and 8 p.m. tonight. Again, a quick downpour, some lightning, maybe some gusty winds, but very, very isolated. So don't cancel the outdoor plans for the day today. Temperature-wise, we're into the upper 80s. Should get up to 88 degrees for your afternoon high. And then for the day tomorrow, I think there's probably a little lower chance of rain. It's maybe the day that throughout the entire week that we had the lowest chances of storms. Still could be an isolated one out there. Otherwise, temperatures once again will be in the upper 80s. Wednesday, a little better chance of storms. We're back into the slight risk for severe weather on Wednesday. But more so than the storms, the temperatures are going to start to take the headlines here as we work our way towards the end of the week. Wednesday, 90 degrees, 93 on Thursday, 94 Friday as the state fair opens, and then we keep the temperatures in the 90s as well for Saturday and Sunday. Almost any of those days, there will be the chance again of a spot storm, but at this point, Wednesday looks like it's probably the best chance of maybe more widespread storms, Lauren, across the area.
All right, Tom, let's take it down to the Bloomington area where you did see the rain there on the radar. This is at I-69 and State Road 46 in Bloomington. You can see the water on the road. We saw some lightning here from our camera just moments ago as well, so just be aware of that if you're out and about traveling near that area. Traffic there pretty quiet this morning, no delays. Our live drive vehicle back in the metro area showing us eastbound I-465. We're up on the north side of town, traveling near Keystone Avenue. You can see the traffic there is moving along up to speed. No crashes or issues for your commute at this hour.
What you decide to eat may have a big environmental impact on adding carbon emissions and maybe causing a quicker breakdown of soil quality. The food production makes up about 1/5 to 1/3 of all annual greenhouse gas emissions globally, we're told. Now, researchers found that one serving of beef, get this, of beef stew, by the way, has the carbon cost of driving about 14 miles. Many foods that are good for you, like beans and vegetables, are shown to be gentler on the environment. Experts suggest switching out to about 10% of your daily calories to environmentally conscious foods to help lower your carbon footprint.
Misdiagnosis of disease and other medical conditions lead to deaths and permanent disabilities each year here in the U.S. That's according to a report from the Johns Hopkins Armstrong Institute Center for Diagnostic Excellence. Nearly 40% of those severe outcomes, including death and disability, are linked to errors in diagnosing a group of 5 conditions. Those include stroke, sepsis, pneumonia, and lung cancer. But researchers say there's less than 0.1% chance of serious harm related to misdiagnosis after a health care visit.
Estate sale companies are a popular way to downsize or sell items for those that you love. Coming up, the important things you need to know before you hire a seller.
Plus, a warning for anyone scrolling through their social media feeds this morning. Coming up, we're looking at malicious tagging and how it can be hard to spot. It's 6:21. We'll be right back. It is 6:24, taking you out to Richmond right now along I-70. This is at US 35, also where we have rain showers and wet roads this morning. You can see traffic is moving along just fine, both eastbound and westbound through that area. We'll keep you updated on any delays.
Richmond has a beautiful downtown. If you're ever hungry before you get into Ohio, pull on over to Richmond. Have something to eat. A lot of food, a lot of good food.
Perfect. Keep that in mind. Well, Gallaudet University is the largest university for deaf students in the country. In the 1950s, a segregated grade school operated on the Gallaudet campus.
And despite attending classes, the black students never received their diplomas. That is until this past Saturday. The university held a graduation ceremony for 23 black students and 4 black teachers. It comes 70 years after they earned the right to graduate. A handful of the students, as well as the descendants of the other students discriminated against, attended that ceremony. For Kenneth Miller, it was a day he thought once would be unrecognizable.
This has really been just the only thing on my mind as of lately. It feels incredibly exciting.
The university did issue a statement saying in part that Saturday's event is a significant part of Gallaudet's ongoing commitment to acknowledge and own its past racial and educational injustices.
That's cool there. All right, let's take a look right now at our weather as you're heading out the door on this Monday. Todd, we have just like those kind of little pockets of some storms, so you might see some lightning off in a distance.
Yeah, you know, there's 2 storms. I was driving into work this morning and I saw the lightning and I looked at my radar before I left the house and I knew that storm was all the way in Martinsville, so you could see it from downtown Indianapolis. Additional storm now making its way towards the Bloomington area, and this is the view in Bloomington. A little harder to see the lightning now that the sun is coming up, but nonetheless, a pretty good little storm system is approaching the Bloomington area with a lot of lightning and some really heavy rainfall. The heart of that storm system over Ellettsville right now. So you're getting a little bit of a wake-up call, early alarm clock this morning. And then we have another cell that's up here with some heavy rainfall just north of Richmond there, right along I-70 and US 35. The bulk of that heavy rainfall is going to move just north of downtown Richmond and off into Ohio here pretty quickly. But you notice on our bigger view here, we have all these little areas where we're dealing with clusters of storms, and it's just kind of unsettled across the area. So as we go forward throughout the course of the afternoon hours, there will be an isolated storm or two. Otherwise, we're looking at lots of sunshine here today. The storm chances are isolated with just maybe a small chance 1 or 2 of these storms could be severe. Don't cancel the outdoor plans, but prepare for some warmth here. High temperatures going anywhere from 85 to about 90 degrees.
A lot's going on. Todd, please keep us posted throughout the next 30 minutes. There will likely come a time when you want to clear out or maybe sell some of the stuff belonging to a family member that's passed away. This morning, our consumer reporter, John Matteries, looks at whether you should hire an estate sale company to help out or do something else so, of course, you don't waste your money.
Estate sale companies are great for helping you downsize or sell items from a late relative. But there are some things to know before you hire a company to handle the sale.
Inside this old home, Melissa Haas is dealing with the loss of her mother.
This was her here in 2017.
And what to do with a lifetime of possessions like this vintage stove.
Getting rid of all of these things is very difficult.
So she decided to hire an estate selling company, Caring Transitions, to help ease the emotional burden.
It's an emotional process, so it can be difficult, for them to go through each and every drawer and closet and cabinet in the home.
Franchise owner Rosie Harris says they handle everything for you.
We take pictures of the items in the home and we put them on our auction site and people go on and bid.
Plus, Rosie now does it all online, avoiding that busy yard sale of years past.
So you're not having just the general public, know the address where the house is. Maybe the house is vacant.
You can find companies like this on estatesales.net and estatesales.org. When hiring an estate sale company, the organization Consumers Checkbook suggests these key questions. How and where will the company advertise? When will you get paid? What happens to leftover items after the sale? And do they secure valuable items? You also want to make sure workers are qualified to appraise certain items and check their website for quality photos. Melissa's just glad she doesn't have to do all this work herself.
It's like dismantling my mother's life, which is very hard. And to know that someone else might appreciate a teapot or a painting just warms our hearts.
As for Mom's old stove, it's still here in the family house, and Melissa hopes a new family will love it. That way you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese.
Right now on Good Morning Indiana.
Here is your Monday news feed. A new development this morning in the case of a U.S. soldier who ran into North Korea. The United Nations Command Center says it started communicating with the country about the soldier's detainment. Officials say the well-being of Travis King remains their top priority. He crossed over into North Korea last week while he was supposed to be heading back into the States.
This morning, former Vice President Mike Pence and former Indiana governor sounding off about the January 6 riots. The presidential contender says the former president's words in his mind were reckless that day, but the former VP says he's not convinced that Mr. Trump's words were criminal. The comments come 1 week after the former president reportedly received a letter from the Justice Department stating he's the target of a grand jury investigation.
A big weekend for 2023 Indy 500 champ Joseph Newgarden. The NTT IndyCar Series in Iowa for the only doubleheader of the year. Newgarden took both races. The wins means that he won the last 6 of 7 oval races in the last 12 months. Newgarden joins legendary 4-time Indy 500 winners A.J. Foyt and Al Unser as the only drivers to win 5 consecutive oval races. The next IndyCar race is set for Sunday, August 6th on the streets of Joseph's hometown, Nashville, Tennessee.
He's having a great season.
Man.
Do you remember when he was a rookie? Remember? And then look, he works really hard. He shows when you put in the time and the effort. Pow.
Yeah.
You're the guy, just like Todd Clawson. Pow.
He's our
the guy.
Yeah.
Little lightning and thunder with that pow. Hey, Todd. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. You know, some people have been waking up to, what is it?
Pow.
This morning, with some early morning wake-up call with a lot of lightning. Nothing severe out there this morning, and most of you are completely dry. You have to look pretty closely on the radar to see some of these isolated downpours. So let me take you in a little bit closer. Here's one just to the west of Bloomington. Heaviest rain now through the Ellettsville area, but you see the lightning strikes here in real time. This heavy rainfall is going to be moving towards campus and downtown Bloomington and then off towards Lake Lemon. Again, nothing severe, but obviously lightning makes every thunderstorm dangerous. And there is some real heavy rainfall with these. So just look for a little bit of ponding on the roadways. Heavy downpour here north of Richmond, but this is impacting I-70 and US 27. That storm should be off into Ohio pretty quickly. And these storms that are moving through the Bloomington area, they continue to drift off towards the southeast. The rest of central Indiana is nice and quiet. So it's just these isolated storms. But here is a look in Bloomington, and you can see the real dark sky as you look off towards the west. We're at 70 in Bloomington, 68 is your current temperature in Indy, and 64 in Muncie. Today, it's a decent summer day for us. We'll have the chance of these isolated storms, but outside of that, just partly cloudy skies. The better chance of some storms will be later on this evening as high temperatures climb up to right around 88 degrees. Lauren.
All right, Todd, taking you down here to the southwest side of the 465 loop. This is our INDOT traffic camera near Man Road. You can see construction on the westbound side still very much ongoing today. The westbound direction is supposed to reopen a little bit later this week, kind of midweek, but we'll check in with INDOT and give you an update on the official opening time for those lanes. So right now you'll still have to avoid the westbound interstate on the south and southwest side. Our live drive vehicle is over on the east side of town. We're moving westbound on I-70, heading towards the downtown area, getting ready to pass Emerson Avenue in about a half mile. You can see traffic there coming in from the east side is moving along up to speed.
On this Monday, a man now in critical condition this morning following a shooting. This happening on the city's northeast side.
And this comes after a deadly weekend here in Indianapolis where multiple people were killed in shootings across the metro area. WRTV's Nico Panisi is live with the latest details. Nico, good morning.
Yes, good morning. A violent weekend here in Indianapolis, 6 people shot and 2 people dead. The shooting last night happened in an apartment complex near 38th Street and Post Road at around 10:45. After hearing multiple gunshots in the area, first responders found a man had been shot at the scene and took him to a hospital in critical condition. Metro Police detained 3 people and firearms around the corner near Pinehurst Drive. Investigators say they're unsure what role the weapons played in the shooting at this time. This area is no stranger to crime. Our homicide map shows the location is where a teenager was shot and killed at a bus stop earlier this year, and a second homicide happened just a few blocks away. And investigators are working to collect evidence and speak with potential witnesses. We'll keep you updated with the latest. Reporting live, Nico Panisi, WRTV.
Nico, police also are looking into a deadly shooting early Sunday morning on the city's east side. Police found a man outside of a home on Wallace Avenue. Medics say he died at the scene. Detectives believe that shooting happened during a domestic disturbance. A person of interest remained on the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. And you can keep track of crime in your own neighborhood. Our team continuously updates the homicides map on our website. It's at WRTV.com. There you can just click on the crime tab under local news.
Our country has surpassed a grim milestone. So far this year, there have been more than 400 mass shootings, and that's according to the Gun Violence Archive. This past weekend alone, 5 people were injured from a gunfire at a Florida bar on Sunday morning. Meanwhile, in the state of Texas, a gunman killed 1 person and injured 4 others at a birthday party. The victim, 21-year-old Autumn Valiant, was 5 months pregnant and was planning to become a teacher. Her mother says she was about to leave the event when that fight broke out.
My daughter came pulling me, telling me, "Mama, let's get away, let's get away." And I'm like, "Come on." And I looked back, my baby was down on the ground, gone.
The Gun Violence Archive says the 400 mass shootings recorded so far this year is more than half the total recorded last year. The archive defines a mass shooting as 4 or more people shot or killed, not including the shooter.
Well, with the WRTV investigation is about a growing scam called malicious tagging, and if you're not careful, it can take down your entire account. Jody in Brownsburg talked to us about this issue. She says that she was a victim of malicious tagging. It's when scammers hack into your friend's Facebook page and tag you. The links often say sensational things like, "Look who died in this accident. I think you might know him." They appear to be a legitimate news report, but they are not.
The tagline or the header itself seemed weird about so-and-so being killed. And I was like, I just moved on because it just seems so strange. And who it came from seemed so odd. So I didn't really give it much merit in terms of what it might be in relation to, because it was just so strange.
Well, when you click on the link, it takes you to a Facebook login page, but this is fake. It's just a way to capture your login information and take over your Facebook account. The Indiana Attorney General's office says malicious tagging is a growing problem because of the value of Facebook accounts. It's also on the rise on the dark web. Well, you can protect yourself by not clicking on any suspicious links. Use multi-factor authentication. It makes it harder for scammers to get access to your account. If you are tagged in a suspicious post, remove the tag and delete it from your profile. You can also report it to Facebook and the Better Business Bureau Scam Tracker.
On this Monday morning, staying safe while riding off-road. This morning, the family's life-changing ATV crash and what they want you to remember on this day.
Plus, we are about 5 months from Christmas, and Old St. Nick is bringing toys to all the kids. Coming up on Monday, how one community is already celebrating the holiday spirit. It is 6:37. We'll be right back.
On this Monday morning, a warning and an alert really about this ATV safety after a teen crashed in southern Indiana, resulting in a serious brain injury.
So 17-year-old Austin Fox was riding his ATV with friends last year when his family says he hit the back of a friend's ATV. He flew over the handlebars and landed on his head. He wasn't wearing a helmet at the time of the accident and was rushed to an Indianapolis hospital. That's where he spent 2 months recovering from surgeries, allowing his brain to heal and relearning how to walk.
I had 2 skull fractures, and they had to take a piece of my skull off because my brain was swelling.
The first 24 to 72 hours was the hardest part. The doctors couldn't give us many answers because the brain is so complex, and so every person's different. So it's hard to tell what's going to happen. They couldn't give us any kind of firm details. I just said it was a waiting game. So it was the hardest wait.
Well, the American Academy of Pediatrics says 4 kids are sent to an emergency room every hour for an ATV-related injury. Doctors encourage everyone to wear helmets, but if an injury does happen, it's important to seek care immediately.
If, for instance, the EMS personnel on site notice that there are significant injuries, time is of the essence, and it's imperative that those patients get to a level 1 trauma center where they can be evaluated by specialists. Sometimes those injuries may not be as obvious either.
Well, Austin's family says they're very grateful for the community support during his recovery. At 6:41, let's check in with Todd and our radar this morning, Todd.
Yeah, we've had a few downpours and thunderstorms here this morning, Lauren. They continue to weaken and nothing severe here. A downpour near Richmond and a few more near Bloomington. These will go through over the next hour or so, and then it turns into a decent day and really a great pool day. A lot of warmth around, temperatures anywhere from about 85 to 90 degrees with a mixture of sun and clouds. But we will probably fire up a few additional thunderstorms later on this afternoon. We'll talk more about that coming up in your WRTV Storm Team Forecast.
Welcome back. It is 6:44. Let's take it down here to I-65. This is at Edgewood Avenue, just south of the 465 ramp system. Traffic in the area is still traveling up to speed pretty much through this area, picking up as you can see. It'll take you 7 minutes right now to get to the south split. We're keeping a close eye on traffic flow here on the south side. Also part of the detour route as you're trying to get to the south split. So we'll be watching that as we inch closer to rush hour. So the Christmas spirit is being felt on this side of the anchor desk this morning and also in Sullivan County on this Monday morning in the middle of July.
Well, this is all part of the Christmas in July toy giveaway. The event was put on by the Indiana Santa Claus Society. I introduced you to the group last week right here on Good Morning Indiana, right? All the Santas at work. The group partnered with an Abundant Grace House of Prayer to collect toys for kids affected by the tornadoes that hit Sullivan this past March. Organizers say the event was an overwhelming success.
Today, this Abundant Grace here, they worked with us. They had a bounce house, cotton candy, hot dogs, snow cones. Kids had a ball today.
Santa said he was brought to tears to see how many kids get their own toys at the giveaway. We are so proud of all these guys. Many of them are from Indiana, all across our state, who get together after a storm and give away toys, no matter what time of year, but they are making their list. I did have a chance to speak to them last week, and they tell me that both Todd and Lauren are on the nice list. I was like, what? Are you sure about that?
Absolutely. What other list would we be on?
That's true. That's true, Todd.
We're very, very nice people here. All right, outside right now. We're dealing with a couple isolated downpours. We've had some thunderstorms here throughout the overnight hours. They've been on a very, very isolated basis, and mainly in southern locations. We had just this one storm that's now, as you see, pushing off into Ohio. Started near Fortville, went through the Newcastle area, north of Richmond, and now it's going off into Ohio. So that one is out of our area. This storm has weakened considerably, and that's what most of them have been doing as they've been working their way southeast. Bloomington, just as you work your way onto the east side of town there near the mall, and then eventually if you're heading up Indiana 45 there or out 46 as you work your way into Brown County, some heavy rainfall and that'll follow you, and then some heavier rainfall getting ready to push into Bedford. This cell still has a little bit of lightning on it, but again, a lot of these storms as they've been moving off towards the southeast have even lost the lightning as they start to weaken. Otherwise, lots of sunshine expected here throughout the day today, especially this morning from Indianapolis to the north where it's completely dry. Going forward, we're not completely done with the rain for the day today. It's still just kind of unsettled across much of the Midwest, and you see these different clusters of storms, and we are under the marginal risk for severe weather. That's the lowest threat level on our scale of 1 to 5, and that just means the chance of an isolated strong to severe storm. The best potential for that would be not this morning with what we're dealing with. We're not expecting that to be severe. It'd be later on this afternoon and into the evening hours. In fact, most of the afternoon's dry. It's probably not until after 5 o'clock we just start to fire up a few isolated thunderstorms. Best chance would be east and south of Indianapolis, but some of these storms could produce some damaging wind, and that would be the main threat. Obviously, if they have lightning, you'll have to bring your plans indoors later on this afternoon. But don't plan on a storm in your neighborhood. It'll be kind of unlucky if you get hit with one of these storms. So carry on with what will be a very nice summer-like day for us here across the area with a temperature up to 88 degrees. And again, just a chance of that isolated storm. Tomorrow, rain chances a little bit lower, I think. Once again, into the upper 80s with skies that'll be mostly sunny across the area. It's once we get to Wednesday and beyond that we really start to build the heat in to the area. Wednesday, we get to 90 degrees. We're up to about 94, maybe 95 degrees on Friday with hazy sunshine. And then we keep it in the 90s for Saturday and Sunday. Really, any day there could be a spot storm in this forecast. The best chance, I think, would be this afternoon, Wednesday, when there's a slight risk for severe weather, and then again over the course of the weekend.
All right, Todd, let's take you up here to the northeast side. This is I-465 at Fall Creek Road. Traffic in this area is moving along up to speed. If you're traveling in the northbound direction, heading up towards Meridian Street, US 31, that'll take you 8 minutes, so no delays in this area. That's great news. Our live drive vehicle is out and about on this Monday morning, giving you a better idea of what you can expect as you're moving westbound right now near the airport on the west side. So if you're heading out to catch an early morning flight or maybe dropping someone off, you shouldn't have any problems getting there at this hour.
Good morning to Carmel, Muncie, and Greenwood. Investors watching Wall Street after another winning week. The Federal Reserve, as you know, set to make another height of increase in interest rates again on Wednesday. The hope that this could be the final increase in the Fed's efforts to tame inflation. Also this week, earning reports from Alphabet, Meta, and Microsoft. All three companies rising more than 35% so far this year. Stellantis and Samsung SDI plan to open a second U.S. electric car battery plant. Now the location still under review. Production is targeted for 2027. Stellantis, with brands like Jeep, Ram, and Alfa Romeo, says the goal is to offer at least 25 new battery electric vehicles in North America by the end of the decade. The company's first joint battery plant, as you know, set to open early next year in Howard County in Kokomo. Move over Hertz and Avis. The little guy is getting in on the car rental market. Small-time entrepreneurs are accumulating vehicles to rent out through car-sharing services like Turo and GetAround. GetAround says about 70% of active cars are rented out by people who own 3 or 4 more vehicles. And Turo says its active host list grew from 114,000 to 165,000 in the last year. And by the way, the Barbie movie reviving interest in those that collect dolls. Prices are soaring for those vintage Barbies, with antique appraisers deluged by calls. Collector Barbie dolls usually run for about $100. But listen up, the original 1959 model, the so-called Holy Grail Barbie, goes for thousands of dollars.
Well, the U.S. women's national soccer team is gearing up for a big match against Holland. Coming up, Good Morning America is live from Auckland with the Rising Stars and their big win over Vietnam.
And here at home, a man in the hospital with a gunshot wound, we are told in critical condition. The investigation that's underway and your day's other top stories are next, right here on WRTV.
Right now on Good Morning Indiana.
It is 6:53 on Good Morning Indiana. Here's the information you need to get out the door by 7.
Let's get started. A violent weekend in Indianapolis, leaving 6 people shot, 2 people dead. The latest shooting happening at an apartment complex near 38th and Post at around 10:45 Saturday evening. The victim in this case was rushed to a hospital in critical condition. Metro Police detained 3 people and firearms around the corner. The investigation into the shooting continues at this hour.
This morning, Metro Police are trying to determine if a shooting and homicide on the same street are connected. Officers were called to Hillcott Lane around 10:30 Sunday morning. There they found a body floating in the water. Homicide detectives believe the incident may be connected to a shots fired call on Saturday. The shots fired call were inside a home before the other man took off. Detectives later found evidence that determined the other man may have been shot.
And Broad Ripple businesses say it's been quieter and has been safer after safety upgrades were launched 3 weeks ago. Right now, businesses have to close by 1 in the morning and barricades block a former troubled parking lot. Metro Police say lights and cameras have also been added throughout the village, but the changes are not without some cost. The Broad Ripple Village Association says some businesses are reporting that they are losing money.
Well, authorities say an Indiana woman is among the victims who died in a helicopter crash. This happened in Alaska last week. Investigators say 26-year-old Tori Moore of South Bend was one of 3 scientists on board. The pilot and the 3 scientists on board all died in that crash. The wreckage is located inside a lake. Authorities plan to attempt to retrieve the wreckage this week.
Drivers on the Purdue University campus in West Lafayette will need to slow their roll this starting next month. University officials say they're lowering speed limits on a number of streets. We have a list of those specific streets seeing changes right now on our website at WRTV.com. Officials with Purdue and West Lafayette say the lowered speed limits will lead, they hope, to a safer space for pedestrians. The new rules are set to go into effect by August.
This morning, there's a new Hoosier in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Scott Rowland was inducted on Sunday in Cooperstown, New York. The Jasper native entered Major League Baseball back in 1996. He played 17 seasons, eventually winning a World Series in 2006 with the Cardinals.
And here's a Hoosier legend. An Anderson native was also honored during Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame weekend. Carl Erskine will receive the Buck O'Neil Lifetime Achievement Award, and he deserves it. He pitched for the Brooklyn and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Erskine was named an All-Star in 1954. It was part of the Dodgers' 1955 World Series win over the New York Yankees.
Well, let's take you outside and get a check of traffic at the South Split. Things are slowing down a little bit as you're moving northbound on I-65, getting on westbound I-70. Westbound I-70 moving a little bit slow, and that's just due to that extra traffic from the 465 closure and the westbound direction on the south side. So just give yourself a few extra minutes to get through that area. Todd, what can we expect in terms of traffic for our commute?
Yeah, you know, most people will be dry. And there's just a couple areas where we're dealing with some isolated downpours. The one that was over in the Richmond area, that's moved off. Bloomington down towards Bedford, you can see that's where your downpours are this morning. They're moving out of the area. Nothing severe here, so that is the good news. Now, going forward throughout the day, some additional storms are possible later on this evening. Otherwise, plenty of sunshine. 88 today, 89 tomorrow. Slight risk of severe weather on Wednesday with a high of 90. Then the weather headline, as you see, going all the way into the weekend is going to be the heat. First heat wave of the year, 3 days in the 90s in a row, potentially, as we head really starting on Wednesday all the way through Sunday.
As you head out the door, don't remember we are always on WRTV.com.
That's right. Good Morning America is coming up next. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great day.